We continue in the section of the course types of communication, and in this video, as its name indicates, you will know, recognize or internalize the two temporal dimensions of communication. With this video, you should be able to understand and define synchronous and asynchronous communication as main objective. However, it will also allow you to identify the channels of both types of communication. Virtual environments lead us to increasingly digital relationships and enable us to communicate over distances through various means. This gives rise to many doubts to achieve effective communication, such as what is the best way to communicate, how can I make sure that information is received, what channel should I use? As seen in the previous video, presence communication is the easiest way to achieve effective communication, and we do not pose this type of doubt. However, the way we communicate has changed and we must adapt. Therefore, these and other questions can be solved by deciding the best type of communication for each situation. The truth is that it can be difficult to decide which one to use and when, but with the knowledge, skills, and the appropriate tools, it can be completely dominated, both in work and in learning, to improve communication in remote environments. So in this video, we are going to learn the difference between synchronous and asynchronous communication to be able to make good use of them. Let's start with synchronous communication. It is the one that occurs in real time and in which all the parts intervene simultaneously. Therefore, it is a communicative activity that allows or resembles face-to-face communication, and the participants interact because they must be present, although not necessarily in the same physical location. Synchronous communication channels are those in which it is allowed to occur in real time and therefore requires and refers to an immediate access of information or other data. They are usually similar to the dialogue maintained face-to-face, resulting in a dynamic where that conversation evolves in that time in which it occurs. It also tries to simulate a symbology for linguistics that reflects mood and gestures, such as the employment of the so-called emoticons or expressive resources such as exclamations, which sometimes indicate anger, firmness, joy, feeling. Among the main synchronous communication channels, as an example, I present to you three. The chat, which makes it possible for different Internet users to meet simultaneously in environments or channels with topics of conversation of all kinds. In these channels, the user expresses their opinions in written form and in real time, unlike, for example, the email, which, as we will see later, its asynchronous means that users do not need the existence of temporary correspondence in their communication. Another channel, the video conference, which is considered as a virtual meeting and has as main features that are transmitted in real time and at a distance. It is bidirectional and can be carried out in two places or more than two places, that is, in a point or multipoint, allowing also audio, video, and data transmission. And as a last example, we can put the board, which is a synchronous communication tool applicable to different areas, but generally in the area of drawing, and that can be used under the complementation of other tools, such as the video conference or the same chat. Synchronous communication can be considered the closest to the meetings and conversations that can take place in a workplace. Therefore, it allows us to build stronger connections and engage the message recipient more effectively. However, be cautious with this statement, as while it may be true in some cases, it is not always the case. In synchronous communication, a lot of information that would be captured in face-to-face communication, such as nonverbal cues, is inevitably lost. The main drawback of this type of communication is that it requires that everyone is in the same place, whether it is face or virtual, and it may be the case that there are large time differences. Internet access is not available at that moment, or you do not have the necessary equipment. Here we present some examples of synchronous communication. For example, one person calls another to ask for a recommendation, or two people talk by instant messaging. Once the synchronous communication is seen, we are going to see the synchronous communication, which is the one that does not occur in real time and in which not all the parts intervene simultaneously. That is, everything contrary to the synchronous, and it is defined as a process or effect that does not occur in complete temporal correspondence with another process or another cause. Examples of channels of this type of communication? Well, for example, we have put the forum and the email. The email has become one of the most widely used communication tools in technology. Practically all people have an email account, whether personal or professional, because it allows a person to send and receive messages written to other users of the network located anywhere in the world. One of the great advantages that this medium is granted is to facilitate a more open conversation. The forum allows the exchange of messages between users or users of virtual scenarios, overcoming the limitations of time and space and facilitating reading, debate, and opinion. Therefore, it promotes communication, collaborative work, and the cohesion of groups, allowing constant communication with people who are far away without the need to coincide in the same scenarios or in the same schedules, thus overcoming some of the limitations that we have mentioned of synchronous communication. In the same way, here we present some examples of asynchronous communication, such as a person who edits the content that another person wrote on a website, or three people editing a text document. Once we are clear, in a very simple way, the difference between synchronous and asynchronous communication, you must be very clear when each of them should be used. Simple, synchronous, need of immediacy. For example, you need to get opinions or do work at the same time. Asynchronous, there is no need for immediacy and we do not need immediate answers, which allows you to gather information, reflect on that information, to use the resources, to use the opinions to express. Here we leave you with bibliography and references in case you are interested in expanding your knowledge on the topics treated here.